Who is this Zavadil person? I've heard many times about him.
He's running our Russian community channel, Telegram channel.
Mm.
So it's more active than any other channels like that we
Okay.
have for Near.
We're on YouTube, and let me. I hope it's not going to present my screen. Yes, it just presents the window. Whew. That was difficult. Okay, I'm so sorry, Mike.
No worries.
Let's start from the beginning.
Sure. So the progress this week is figuring out how EC Recover works for EIP 712, and I didn't realize that we needed to use basically ABI.encode packed, and got a JavaScript version of that working. So that means that I can figure out who the address is based on that. So there's also the relayer that was set up. It's a very simple like Express.js app, and so we're going to be sending these meta transactions to the relayer. The relayer is going to do a couple of things, but they also want to like ensure that the signature is valid first of all before it actually wants to process it. And I think it'll make sense for it to also use this EC Recover on that. So the relayer is live. I've pushed up the or it's, I guess live by, I push up the GitHub repo on that. I ran into some issues with truffle contract. So I'm now using Web3's contract class. And so that's going okay. And I'm able to get the nonce from the front end of the EVM account ID on the Near EVM. So that is actually working out. I had some issues with that before. So what I need to do next is a couple of small tasks like promisify all the functions, because a lot of the stuff works with callbacks, and we'd rather have it be the same way all the rest of our code is with async await. And then Ilya mentioned how the gas station network is a really good model in terms of how you can have multiple providers that I think kind of act as a fallback in certain cases, where right now I basically am setting up 2 instances of different providers. And so like, for instance, when you go to the pet shop, it's going to first show you all of the dogs that were adopted. And that is using the Near Web3 provider to just make a view call, because you don't need to actually like do any sort of like meta transaction for that. And then when it comes to like adopting using the signed data, that would be like using a different provider. And so essentially I need to like move on to using however the gas station network is doing it. They have a really good long blog post about how it works. I haven't had a chance to really look into that, but that's coming up, is refactoring it that way. And then to get this to work, I made my first stab at saying like, here is how much tokens I am willing to spend for the relayer to do this transaction for me, since the relayer will have a Near account. And then you can say, here's how many tokens, here's the address of the token contract on Near. And so the relayer will also be making sure that this person actually has those tokens to pay them. In the beginning, I think like as we're onboarding and as I'm doing this very basic example, we're just going to do it for free, you know, for the pet shop kind of things. But we want to build this in right now, saying I'm going to pay through a fungible token. And so knowing that information, I need to change a little bit of the structure and how I'm doing this. I was basically saying like, here's the amount, here's the token contract, here's the dog you're adopting, and then I think something else, and we need to make that into a different format. It's called Near TX, and that is what the EVM is expecting. So that isn't a very big change, but that's going to be, I need to reformat that, essentially what they're going to be signing. And then also in terms of the relayer right now is super basic as I'm understanding this. It's all in one file, including like the routing and everything. So need to make that much more robust, possibly use TypeScript, all that stuff. One kind of concern that I have now is, so the pet shop, the way it works is once you finally adopt a pet, then it will print out a link to the Explorer where you can see that this has happened. Currently, the EVM precompile branch for Near Core only lives on a single instance of Google Cloud. So, and I've actually never really set up a wallet in Explorer from scratch, but I understand that they like take information from like an indexer as well. And so it seems like we could either do that sort of to show how the full functionality of this, or like, this is basically a really good reason to try to push through the PRs and get them merged so that we can have it on like BetaNet or maybe even CrashNet or something so that we can actually use this. A second reason why we really need this is I believe once it's reformatted in terms of the gas station network, we want a user to be able to say, I'm going to use MetaMask to adopt this pet, or I'm going to log in with Near Wallet. And then suddenly you're logged in, it can see like, okay, if they're logged into Near, then let's just send it directly to Near using the Near Web3 provider. If they're not logged in, then let's, kind of go the MetaMask route. So that also means that we need wallet setup. So I'm kind of stuck on like, how far away are we from, or I'm not blocked at all, by the way, but I am kind of stuck in terms of like figuring out, should we try to implement Wallet and Explorer and the indexer on the GCP node, or just like, are we at the finish line of merging some of this stuff so we can have it on a like kind of a live network?
I mean, okay, one thing before, I think Evgeny might answer these things, but like about how far we are from the live network. But where is all the work you're doing? Is it some separate repo?
Yeah. So Pet Shop is, I think I posted it in our EVM channel. I can try to find that. Is that helpful to
look at it.
Bring up on this meeting?
EVM channel, looking at it. Waiting. No, cannot find. But the shop, no, I cannot find it anywhere.
Okay, it's the very top of Wednesday, October 7th. So there's a Pet Shop is in a branch. The EVM relayer is in its own repo now.
I mean, maybe you can drop the links.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, as far as I get it, the Explorer support is a separate task that we still need to do, and it is unassigned at the moment, as far as I know.
We should ask again.
The Explorer integration. So so the Explorer can show the EVM transactions is a separate task. It is mentioned in the Ilias mainnet like tracking issue. But as far as I know, nobody is doing this at the moment.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean,
and also, yeah,
go ahead.
Continue.
I think there is ambiguity. Like Mike might want it just to see some transactions, not like he wanted to see that transactions are going through. I think that's what he wanted to see. Right? And what Ilya might have meant is that you have a parsed EVM transaction with like how you see it in Etherscan.
Yeah, I believe that like the requirement for the mainnet launch would be the second option.
Okay,
and Mike, a quick comment to the GSEN. GSEN actually has a pretty like I have read through the post and I have digged into the way how they implemented that, just because it's a pretty important thing for the meta transactions infrastructure, how to implement this. So I believe we will not implement everything the same way how they did, just because they have a very like strong, they have a separate contract for the discovery of the relays. They have a slashing mechanism for the relays that are not behaving correctly, and lots of additional stuff. I do not think that we are going to implement this at the very beginning, just because like it is a pretty good decentralized architecture. But let's put it offline and discuss with you. And actually, I just wanted to mention, you probably have seen, Mike, the doc that I can post on the meta transactions. It is a draft one. I can share it. I can share it with everyone a bit later. But yeah, there are some insights into the meta transactions there.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, Evgeny, what do you think about the state of readiness of the EVM?
I haven't reviewed Ilya's pull request, so.
You have not?
And
I thought you...
no, I think the fixes. But I'm still pretty sure we're very far, and I'll be. I would prefer to run this network for like a few months before going to mainnet. But so we'll probably need a new chain just for EVM and have like large enough bounty to break it, so people can try to like break, abuse it before we can merge it to mainnet, just because of how like so many new pieces coming into the EVM implementation, and any of the issues can potentially stale the entire mainnet, which we don't want, because the solution for this will be a hard fork.
Yeah. If we want, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. We basically need to hide it behind either a separate feature or a different branch. And feature might be easier because it will get all the PRs from master automatically. Different branch means we'll have to merge all the time, which is not ideal. So
okay.
Yeah, I think at least a month of like running it live with bounties should get us some confidence that we can go and ship it in mainnet. Plus, it will give us much better iteration that we don't need protocol upgrades for every. We will just hard fork it every time we do a fix.
Yeah.
So we can leverage community that is kind of mad and actually get them. So like, yeah, testnet community is pretty mad right now. So if we can at least get them to run like EVM network and have rewards for just doing it, like some continuous, just for being a validator and like continuously hitting like hard forks and stuff like this. I think this should be a rollout plan, but this hard fork, they pretty much will preserve the state, I think. So we can ask partners to like start testing on this network. It will be a live network. But we need to be careful to not expose it and decide on which path we take. So separate branch is safer, but requires more work of merging master all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a compiler flag also, because it feels like
flag is like less safer, but we can have some side effects that might need and like upgrades that we do to not be a protocol change. So for example, once we need to introduce EVM config in it, that either have to be a different substructure or like so. And like with a separate branch, at least at the beginning, we can be less careful to merge faster and iterate faster, versus like mainnet has to be like super careful. Like, so maybe maybe we can start a separate branch, and eventually, once we have some confidence of no new features, config is merged, we introduce a mainnet upgrade to introduce new fields into configs and like, and then hide it behind the flag and stuff like this.
Okay. So as far as I understood, we really want to have EVM before the January. There is also one blocker from EVM to the bridge, which is contracts, the token transfer from Ethereum to EVM directly. I mean, through the WASM. And it's a blocker because it requires code modifications to the token connectors inside the bridge, because they're going to be hard linked. I mean, stuff that you deploy inside the EVM token connector and inside WASM, they're going to be hard linked to each other. So it's like a thing that we want to test with the with the bridge.
Yeah.
So EVM is kind of creating dependency here for the bridge. And if you say we want to run it for, like, let's say 2 months for safety before we launch it on the mainnet, that means we need to have it ready like in a month from now, which means we need to iterate, like you're iterating with Ilya right now. We should, I mean, Bo is doing some fees work, but we should also maybe think who else might help iterating you. I mean, might not be able to. Okay, so
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and Max, there is also an additional feature, which is the calling contracts outside of the EVM, and this is potentially can be also the blocker here. So like two points: the calling contracts outside the EVM, and the bridge piece.
Well, I mean, calling contracts in WASM is not a blocker for the bridge, but it's, it can be an incremental
I don't know
change.
Yeah, it depends. Well, it depends on how we are going to implement this, like the switching between NERC20 and the NAP21. So if we are going to send the transaction to the like connector part that is located inside the EVM, and then this contract is calling the NAP21 contract, then obviously this is something. Or another thing, if we would like to send NERC20 to the contract, which is NAP21, then this is a direct call outside of it. So like at some point in time, if we would like to move the NERC20 token from near EVM outside to the WASM, then we are going to call the contract outside of the near EVM.
So what is it a blocker for?
It can be differently
okay,
done. So it can go from WASM to EVM, and from EVM as a callback back to WASM.
Okay, but how we are going to implement if I would like to transfer the tokens from EVM to WASM?
You will call WASM.
So I need to call a
You will call WASM. WASM will call EVM. It will listen on the feedback from EVM and confirm it back on WASM.
Yeah, but
side.
the normal user, isn't. But if a normal, imagine the situation: a normal user that is used to use EVM, so he has like his dApps migrated to the near EVM, and he is signing his transactions with the MetaMask. So what he's doing, he's actually issuing a transfer transaction inside of the near EVM, and this somehow needs to be transferred to his near account that is to the contract that is based in WASM. So if the initial starting point is
it's only for the
EVM
bridge,
transaction,
right?
Yeah, that's only for the bridge.
But I don't even understand how is it a blocker for the bridge.
Okay, well, I believe we can take this offline, but from my point of view, as I see it, there at least potentially can be the blocker.
Okay, let's take a note on it.
The problem is EVM is synchronous, and it will have to complete before it can do anything outside of EVM, which means we have to rely on logs, and to rely on logs, you need to either relayers that monitor these logs from EVM, or that they have to be like initiated by outside of EVM that will receive a callback on the completion of EVM.
Right, so this is going to be based on the work that Bo is doing or has done. It's like his work, debug genetics populate hen. There is some weird stuff that he noticed with our gas counting, is that the costs in near gas, I mean, or like CPU instructions, when you deploy a Solidity contract, is not proportional to the size of Solidity contract. Like it's all over the place. There is no linear correlation. It's not a smooth dependencies. There's some weird stuff happening in there. So he's going to be investigating that too. All right,
So
we
I
are
think
like
from Bo, he mentioned that he was able to fit it to like based on contract site and EVM gas. So
okay.
it's like
Oh, he
still
found the
linear.
reason.
It's still
I
linear,
see.
and he got it under like I think 4% error volatility. And the
Okay.
reason is constructor in EVM can do the variable compute, while at the same time contract side contributes to extra gas on our side.
Okay. Cool. Well, right. So action items here are for me to sync with Alex on what are the blockers from the EVM to bridge. Clarify that. Then think whether we need to put more effort into iterating between Eugene and Ilya so that it happens within the next month. It's 2 cycles, and maybe also discuss extra network with infra team so that they are ready to set it up, or at least they're prepared to budget it in their work. And that's it. Anyone wants to add anything else? We have another meeting right now that Eugene is going to be leading in a minute. All right, cool. All right, thanks guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool.